My name is Timothy Landry Swinton, Senior. I'm 41 years of age. Born and raised in Hamden, Connecticut. I was born in Bridgeport Hospital in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Mom and dad raised me up in church. My dad passed away, but he was when he was living, he was a truck driver. Limited education. He didn't graduate high school. Just the way lifestyle he grew up in. Hard worker. He had kids at a young age. Started, with it, making his family, and he decided to step up and become a family man. So he got a CDL. So he was a truck driver until the good Lord called him home. My mother, my dad's from down south, by the way, but he somehow ended up Connecticut. Family moved. I think he was born in South Carolina. Yeah, born in South Carolina, raised in Florida. Okay. Yeah, they were married for, my mom still, he ain't found nobody yet, so since he passed. But yeah, They were married. So I grew up, my mom there as well. She's from Florida, born and raised in Anthony, moved to Connecticut with family. And, my mom and dad actually had their own kids before they actually got together and got married and had me, because that blended family, we came together and we made it work. We had our arguments like family do, but you couldn't tell from night to day, rain, sleet, hail, or snow, that we wasn't family. My mom had 2 boys, my dad had 2 boys and a girl. Okay. And then there was me.
So you're young.
I'm the baby. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Yeah, Christian home. Grew up in a big house, 6-bedroom house. 3 upstairs, 3 down. But for my life, all of my life, and my siblings, they say it was different. Once I came along, it was a big Christian household. You could tell, you could feel the presence of God in there. 6 a.m., you're gonna get your butt up and you're gonna be on your knees for prayer every morning. If God woke you up and allowed your eyes to open up, you was gonna be on your knees at 6 o'clock in the morning in that household, very close knit. I did kind of cling to, I guess I'd say my middle brother, even though it was, so many of them is close to age, but I had to say I clung around him, wanted to hang with him, even though there was, that age gap there. Yeah. Me and my sister, who was the closest, she's 9 years older than me, but my brothers, 2 of them are 11 years older than me, one's 12, and the other one, the oldest, is 13 years older than me. So the 13-year-old, the one that's 13 years older than me, he actually is more of like the nurturing one. So I always wanted to be around him. It was always fun to be around. He made, it was comfortable. I grew up in a household where it was comfortable to be strong, considered a sign of strength as being vulnerable. So I come from very, very strong heritage of just everything. Everything's just strong. Yeah, I was the most spoiled one. Every handheld game that came out, I had it. Game Boy, Game Gear, Sega Genesis, even the home games. Sega Genesis, Nintendo, PlayStation, even the little battery operated handheld games. I had them all. I was 16, and my dad's oldest son, he was the only one that, we grew up in a 6-bedroom house, so all the boys were downstairs, and me and my sister had a bedroom, our own individual bedroom, and then my other 3 brothers downstairs. But my dad's oldest son, he was in the street life. So he came up for a summer, and then he went back home. He told my mom and dad, "Hey, I appreciate y'all for having me, but I can't stay." Years passed, I never saw him. I think that was the only time my brothers, my mom's kids, 2 boys, told me that they ever seen him. It was the only time they got memories with him. But lo and behold, fast forward, I got in touch with him. Was able to get my mom and dad on board to say, okay, we'll let you go down there and spend some time with your brother for the summer. Okay. All right, cool, I'm hyped about it. Get a call a few days before, not a few days before, the day of New Year's, or maybe the day after, he was gone. And I never seen him, but the thing about it, the most that God keeps bringing back to my remembrance is, even though I don't have any physical memories of seeing him, God, he allowed me to at least hear my brother's voice over the phone. And from that, it just spun into, one of my gifts is writing. And it just spun into me, kind of being deep into it, as far as that feeling of losing my brother, knowing I was gonna see him. There's so much of a likeness there. I'm the only one, the baby, but I'm the biggest one, so I was the closest to his stature. that could fit his clothes. I was the only one that was, really able to get any of his stuff when we came down, for the funeral. But it showed in my writing. And in school, teachers were just blown away, broken into tears when they come and pull me to the side to talk about the paper and ask me about it. And it's, it helped a deep spot in my heart. Well, actually, like I said, he was in the street life. So he went to jail, just came home, riding in a car with a gentleman and a young lady, and somebody was following him. And he decided to pull off the highway and find out, why y'all keep following me. Apparently it was carrying on for a little while. They were trying to talk him down, and he just, he was fed up, and he said, I'm gonna find out what's going on. He said one of the rarest times, he didn't have, a gun or any type of protection on him. He didn't have anybody with him that had one, for whatever the case was. But lo and behold, I don't know exactly what happened, but from hearsay, the guys, I don't know if my brother approached them or they came up to his car once they, finally pulled over behind him. But it was down the street from a gas station. Nobody saw or heard anything, and he got shot and killed in the street. He lived, they said, 18 minutes into the new year. Is a blessing. He got to see the new year, before he passed. He was had such a giving and loving heart. The city of Delray Beach, I think that's where he was killed. They saw fit to bless him and grace him in his honor with a street named after him. So there's a George Swinton Jr. Boulevard.
So he was known in his city?
Yes, man, from down, my dad's people from down like Pompano, Deerfield area. Okay. Yeah, really Deerfield, I want to say, because that's where my brother went to high. My brother, I know he for sure he went to high school there. I'm not sure if my sister did, but my other brother who ran track, he definitely went there. So it was tough. It was tough for a long time. For a long time, that was one of the longest hurts that it took, to heal, for me to forgive and to be able to let go. That God was able to really, reconcile me and chastise me about it, about the situation, because I was angry for God, at God for a little while. But just the way that I'm wired, I can never stay mad at God too long, because I know that, like He said, everything is for your good. And so no matter what, I take that to mean it didn't kill you and you're still here. It didn't necessarily make you stronger, but you had the tools equipped to make it. And all you really need is God, and He'll give you everything you need. So it was, like I said, 16, it was young to try to process that and get to this stage now. But I mean, like I said, with time, hey man, any wounds could be healed. In school, very good grades, stayed on the honor roll. Probably up until about middle school, I started kind of not taking school serious. But I was always like a jokester. I played sports, always was active. I come from athletic family, majority of us. Out of 6 of us, 3 were high school athletes, stellar high school athletes. It was puberty, and honestly too, me not knowing who I was. Too, you young, you trying to find out who you are, you're a young person, getting ready to come into the young adulthood of high school, era. But just, at the time, I was the type of kid that you had to stay on me. I just kind of, trying to find myself, trying to find my spot in the world, what it is I wanted to do. I was never wanted to be in a box though. Not in a bad way, but just, I knew, streets wasn't for me. Like I said, I grew up in church. That's all I know. But we definitely did, we played card games, board games, we played basketball in our driveway. Like, we didn't have a hoop, but we had some, I don't know what this basket was, it just sat on the ground. We had a little, like a carnival basketball. We would play basketball in the garage with it. But it was in the suburbs. We actually stayed at the bottom of a hill. So you come on our street and there's a circle down at the bottom. We stayed on, if you're at the bottom of the hill, there's a bunch of bushes behind us and projects. Our house was to the right. There was a elderly lady to the left. I used to go and get her mail because she was elderly. Health was kind of declining. She couldn't really get around too good. She would, when she could, she would, but as time went on, it just declined. But I also stayed behind our house. We had a nature center. So I could literally if I didn't want to play with my brothers or what have you, I wanted to go to the park. Some days me and my sister would go to the park because me and my brothers would hang out. But you could either walk there, walk up the hill, go to the right, and literally the very next right-hand turn was maybe not even a quarter of a mile of a walk to the nature center. And they had all types of things, hills, basketball court. That's where I, worked on my skills until, I got to somebody who could get me to the next level. But yeah, it was just that. And me and my sister used to ride bikes in town too. We would ride bikes to go to the basketball court in the house. But yeah, in the summertime, even my other brother, my middle brother, Heath, he's the one to, kind of put it in us too. We in the summertime, we're in the streets. Making sure our chores are done before we leave the house, because Celine wasn't playing that. You make sure the chores are done. You go ask her, can you go ahead and hit it? You hit it, she knew where we were though. But we used to get fussed out because we wouldn't come back home until sometime well after dark. And we used to have to tell, like, Mom, you know where we at. You want to know, you want to come get us? Come on and get us. And then with that, Jackson traveled to all 50 states. But what his main run was Connecticut to Florida, or like Connecticut, or usually most times it was Florida to California. It was definitely respect there. There was not that I saw at any time. There was never no disrespect there. If it was definitely dealt with and handled, right then and there on the spot. But disciplinarian, she was a stern disciplinarian herself. She ain't no pushover still to this day. But she was home because her mom actually got hurt on the job, so she's receiving a fixed income since like the early 80s. Like I wasn't even in double-digit age numbers yet, and she was home, been home since then. So we knew, what we could do, what we couldn't do. She gave us our respect, in our rooms and stuff like that. But she also, laid the law down that, hey, it's gonna be respect for what I done worked for, what I provided first, before you get respect. Now, if you can't respect that, then don't expect for, all this extra stuff that is not a necessity. I just said with my mom when she carried me, and she said like, everything about our pregnancy was different. Everything. My mother was 30-something, 32 maybe, I think, 33 when she had me. She said that was when she gained her weight. She said she had a Coke bottle figure, even after the first two. She gained mad weight. Her feet got bigger. It wasn't like that. It was like, my feet are not supposed to get bigger. I'm grown now. Then stop growing. You changed all of this. And honestly, from what she told me, it's just, what I believe, it's just what she did. While she was carrying me, she said she dedicated my life back to God. So when she did that, and she moved out the way, God did what God do. He started going to work. A living testimony to that, for sure. Say I was what they call a late bloomer. It wasn't like I wasn't trying to talk to girls. I just wasn't successful. Didn't know how to talk to them, and how to come across. Because like I said, my dad really wasn't there. I really wasn't a talkative person. My brothers really weren't there too much because they're grown, so they're living their life, the adult lifestyle as well. So it was really like a lot of trial and error. Like even me and my sister, we didn't really talk too much. I wasn't, like I said, I'm not a big talker. I had to, also find that out about myself and why it is. I'm like that. When I was 16, going on 17, I had my first girlfriend, and then I just at that time too, high school wasn't it for me. I still went. I wanted to play basketball. Hockey's actually my first love. I played that first, and predominantly white town, predominantly white school, and I did that. I chose that path because I saw one black guy that did it, and he was nice. He was nice on the ice. He was a bad boy. But after that, it got a little too expensive for my parents, so I started, fell in love with basketball. But that didn't work out for me in high school. I'm trying out. I don't think I was getting any better, but I believe I did. I know I did. Now I just didn't have the self-esteem. Then I had the confidence in my game. My junior year, I kind of gave up, like I said, on school, on sports. Senior year, I was still up in the air, as far as sports and just school in general. Honestly, I know when I'm with the grace of God, and teachers probably just didn't want to see me no more because I wasn't really going to class. So I don't know how I passed, to be honest with you. But through the grace of God, I graduated. I went to college. Just like the last minute, all my friends said that they were doing something. I'm like, man, I don't have any plans. I wasn't doing anything. So I applied to a school, took the test, got in. My senior year though, before I graduated, the head basketball coach came to me and he was like, "Oh, you think about trying out this year?" I was like, "I don't know yet. It's still up in the air." So, well, if you want to, he's like, "You don't have to." He's like, you just be on the team." Daddy raised me like that though. I turned it down. You ain't finna give me nothing I ain't work for. You're not gonna give me nothing I ain't work for. Me and you never had a conversation. And plus two, she giving me something, it's a hefty price tag come behind it. I ain't no dummy, I just look like this. I like to play dumb, just because people will show you how they really feel. I went to college for only a year. That same high school behavior, I should say high school mentality. I still had that same high school mentality going to college. Started out good, going strong, because I knew that they had a basketball team, so that was my goal. My plan was to go, play basketball, get some film, and transfer to a big university. And I stopped going to class because I didn't think there was a basketball team. Lo and behold, there was. So me and another guy, school was so small, we had like 5 different campuses. The campus we were at was actually the students there, and everything, the whole campus was smaller than my high school. But me and a guy that I went to school with, we were cool with. I tried out for the team, for the school, but I knew I wasn't, doing my thing that I was supposed to be doing in class. But I went anyway. Tried out. As always, I've always had to play basketball and defense against a guy bigger or taller than me. I've always been big, not necessarily tall, but big. But I made the team. That coach, any time is better than no time. Because I know me, if I got on the team, you wouldn't have nobody that would work harder than me. Nobody. Without a shot of a doubt. I made myself who I was. And I always wanted to get better. I put work in to get better, and I always wanted to. It just didn't always have, and just in life, you just don't always have the access of information or just the information itself, to get better. But I knew I would have took full advantage of it. But when he told me that, man, my heart just went all the way to my feet. Because I knew, I had to play a role and act like everything was good, but I knew I didn't have the grades. And I walked out of there and I was like, man, I couldn't even tell the dude I came with, he had a car. Because the coach told me, he was like, hey, we got room for you. He's like, you made it, but your buddy didn't. That's on killer. So I ended up just going back home, took care of my mother for like the next year. I ended up moving down here. It was funny, even with that, she was in a bedridden, sciatic nerve messing up. I was literally a CNA without a CNA certification. In a 2-bedroom apartment. Everything she needed, I had to help her with. Get up out of the bed, go to the bathroom, get something to eat, sit up, everything. I had to do it. I was 18. She just, she said she got a word from the Lord. I told her that she needed to be out of Connecticut by XYZ date. We came down, really didn't even have a place to stay. Luckily, my uncle had a house that he had, for years. My dad he was still in the picture. He didn't pass until shortly after we got here. I take that a lot back, it wasn't shortly. 2005. My mother got here in 2001. When my mom and dad came down in 2001. I stayed for a little bit, and I left in 2002. And my mother brought me back down here, I think of 2003, maybe 2004. And she was like, you coming down with me because you ain't eat. I was skinnier than what I am now, as I was a little bigger. I've been here since 2004, ever since. 2012. And I didn't have a record at the time, so I put in a job for Marion County Sheriff's Office. And I actually got the job, I got the position as a corrections assistant. When I stayed, I started at the Marion County Jail. And then from there, I was only there a few months. I didn't like the vibe. Corrections was never me. And then, just being new to the area. I remember we had a gospel chorus in high school, and it's predominantly white high school. My senior year, we put in a petition and we got a gospel chorus. Never had it, never heard. I think they said they might have had it before a few years back, but then they stopped it. But we started it again my senior year, and we actually traveled and went to a few events and performed, sung, and I played the drums. And I was like, man, this, I never thought about it until, years later. My brother, I found out he started it, him and his friends. BHSU, Black and Hispanic Student Union. They put the petition up to get it, get it before the school, and they approved it. And it got so far as to where when I got it, we went on the college trip. We pay X amount of dollars. You keep coming to the club, to the meetings and stuff like that. Find out about it. We're doing bake sales or whatever else. We knew that this trip was coming up. We get charter buses, and we rode to HBCUs from Connecticut all the way to Georgia. We went all the way to Atlanta. Where we saw Howard, Hampton, Morris Brown, Coppin State, Clark Atlanta, Morehouse, Spelman. Like, we saw all of those schools. No, this is a couple days. Yeah, definitely. I tell the youth about that here to try to spark them even with my kids. I started it earlier with my nieces and nephews when they were in high school. I was like, yo, why don't y'all see about doing this? Y'all could be the first ones to do it. I'm married now. I came down here to Florida. I met my wife shortly after I got here. We've been together almost as long as I've been down here. But we've been married now 12 years in December. We met and she saw me, it was either 2004 or 2005 when I was working at the sheriff's office.
Okay.
But she didn't say nothing to me. She just walked past me and I remember seeing her. We crossed paths again when I was walking past, I was at my cousin's apartment, walked down the road past her mom's apartment, and she saw me and she said something. So when I got back down the street and took care of my business, came on back, I stopped back by the house because her mother was still standing outside. So I said, but that young lady said something. I want to know what she said.
Mm-hmm. You're not too quiet.
No, not at all. Now, there'll be some attention. You know, we all like attention now. I'm going to come back and find out what you said because I wasn't from here, you know. Either. I had a young lady actually tell me she thought that I was homosexual just because she was
respectful.
Like, yeah, she said, I ain't never seen you with no girl. I ain't never heard you talk about being with no girl. I never heard anybody else said they seen you or heard you talk about being with no girl. I said, my business. Like, that's just how I was raised. Like, even me and my brothers, like, now that we grown now too, and, you know, we're all married, it's like, yo, we don't even, like, we'll talk sometimes, but, bro, you don't know my business. 4 kids, 3 boys and a girl. Biggest part of my marriage that I love the most, really is just when you get to see God do what he does, and because you're doing what you're supposed to do with the vows that you took, and you're not allowing the 2 to still be 2, but you're allowing the 2 to come together with God and be one. It's a beautiful thing because it's, you know, the thing we don't talk about a lot is that marriage is growth, elevate. That's all marriage is. You learn to elevate, but with somebody. You know, you don't have to do it by yourself or just with you and God. Now you got a physical person that you took the vows to with God, and because of that, God's gonna honor that as long as you're honoring the vows that you took. You'll see all kinds of growth, you know, but we gotta understand that, just like I said earlier, there gotta be some disruption for you to have growth. So it ain't always been pretty, it ain't always been ugly, but we definitely had better good times than bad times. And my brother, you know, told me something the other day. He said, I wonder what you would have been had we to put the work in with you. If I'd have put a little bit more time in with you. You know, he's like, bro, I see what you do, man. Like, he took me and telling me this, bro, you're a stand-up dad, bro. You always there for your kids. And he moved down here. He's been out here 3 years now, since our oldest brother passed. Him and his wife and daughter came down, and we stayed together for a while. But even though they moved and we're in our separate households now, me and my niece, she still come around. She work out with my 4 kids. You know, I tell her, like, listen, this uncle's not changing. Uncle been working you, giving you this work since you got here. You've been here how long now? 3 years? Yeah, 3 years we've been working. Let's get this work. You know, now I got us all here to help each other. And we always want to, 9 times out of 10, not always, but 9 times out of 10, we resist, you know, that help. Even as a Christian, you know, even Christians, our brothers and sisters in Christ, we resist that help, and God sent it to us.
It's pride.
Exactly. Let pride get in the way instead of letting God do what he do. But I love, like I said, I love being a dad. I love everything about being a husband, you know, because you get this, not just it's a beautiful thing about a marriage and just a family. If you really, you know, do it the way God ordained it, you'll see, you'll find out so many things about yourself. And then once you start fixing things about yourself, it's just like a plant. Once you start giving that plant what it needs, it goes and spreads to the stem, it spreads to the petals, it spreads to the leaves, it spreads to everything that's on that plant. It's going to overflow into it and just make that thing blossom and just be the beautifulest thing, you know, ever. So, yeah, I was an uncle before I was a double-digit age. Yeah, I was an uncle. So my nephew was kind of like my son/brother. It's weird. His dad was to me what I am to him. And one thing was that I started him off with a BMX bike. I used to have chick bikes. And I gave him one before I left. And it blew my mind, almost brought me to tears. It really broke me down. That boy still had that bike. He's almost 30 years old. Well, he passed, but what happened was in 2005, he had what they call an evolving stroke. They say it's the worst stroke that a human being can suffer, because it doesn't have a timetable on when it's gonna stop. It just runs its course, and when it wants to be done, like a hurricane or a tornado, that's when it's done. He lived, and he was pretty much like in a vegetable state. He was still coherent, but he couldn't really talk. He could respond and everything. But just me again. It's my story, testimony a little different. But like I said, I was there for my mother. That was a little tough because my dad was still working. Like I said, my mom wasn't working at the time, and this was the 90s. So we would already accustomed to her not working and being home already, but being in that state where she couldn't do anything for herself. That was a little tough. And I'm the baby. I'm the only one at home. So I had to deal with that. Then my dad getting sick, and then having to deal with that. I got 3 brothers that passed. I got the one that passed down here in Florida. To me, that was rough for a long time. I kind of resented them again because I was like, yo, I'm here by myself. Like, y'all not coming. Like, I don't get no support. I don't get no aid. Like y'all don't know that this is an emergency? Like, why do I gotta shoot the flares in the air? Why I gotta send up the bat signal? Like, this y'all dad too. He didn't just take care of me, he took care of y'all too. Still taking care of y'all too. And grandbabies. So all my brothers passing, it was like just untimely deaths. Just me. Because when he passed, he actually passed coincidentally from the same stroke my dad had. And it was so crazy that he's in Connecticut when this happened. And this was in 2019. So this is 7 years after me and my mom dealt with burying our dad. But then 14 years of actually dealing with the situation itself. And here we are again. And it's definitely totally different. It's totally different. We don't do the 6 o'clock prayer. But I do prayer. I do pray. It's definitely different generations, so different things you have to deal with. Like talking to my kids, I guess. I talk to them and explain to them a lot of things, just everything in life. And I know that my heart's in the right place. But I also had to ask God to help me with that because I know I got a gift of God. I don't want my light to come over as darkness or should turn nobody away from it because that's not what I'm about. I'm not about confusion. I'm gonna stand on what I stand on unless you show me another way to look at it. But other than that, I'm not going back down from what I believe. I was grown. I was 20-something years old. I came a hunger and a zeal. Like, people might say, I'm a fanatic with sports. I became a fanatic for God, because of just the way I grew up in church and what I know and what I believe. Like in the plays, every Christmas play, I was Joseph. Every speech and competition, I was number 1 and number 2. Every time the church doors was open, I was there. And we stayed 30 minutes away from the church, but I was there. I was saved, filled with the Holy Ghost, everything. And to put it in short, I don't have that relationship now, but I'm working on getting it back. And I know I'm gonna get it back, but I ain't had to worry about nothing. I didn't have no job. I didn't know where my next paycheck or pay was coming from. When I say I had the peace, can't nobody tell me God ain't real. They could never tell me God wasn't real. But then when I experienced peace at that level to where God showed me and told me, hey, boy, you ain't even gotta worry about your kids catching a common cold. You so blessed right now. And you ain't got nothing, but you got me. You made a decision to turn your life over and do it my way. Because I even went to, as a young man, I even went to a Church of God in Christ class to find out about the history of where I come from. And I heard about Bishop Charles H. Mason. I want the Holy Ghost like he had it. I want it. When I say I want it, when I sought God for it, I said, I was in church with people. I said, God, I want you in my bathwater, and I meant it. I know it's real, and I know I got a call in my life because when I was there, as well, do this, I knew the devil was mad. He was mad because I'm here on a special assignment. God got a special assignment for me, and when I would get up, I knew my feet touched that ground. That man was mad. He didn't know what to do. He didn't know because he been trying to kill me since I was born. I was a few days old, jaundice. He tried to kill me with jaundice. God put the doctor there that stayed there 2 days, 2 nights. That woman didn't go home until she found out what was wrong with me, how to fix it. And all 4 of my kids dealt with jaundice. Worse, every single time, worse. The only one didn't have to deal with it and had to go back to the hospital to be treated was my oldest. Everybody else, to my baby girl, with her mama's stomach, my baby had her hands in a prayer position, like this,
Wow.
in her mama's stomach. And that girl was in the NICU for 9 days and 9 nights. We had to drive from Ocala to Gainesville to go see my baby. And she was in there, sleeping on a Billy Rubin blanket. A light, she's still in the little bassinet that they got in the NICU, in the nursery.
Yeah.
She ain't got no clothes on for 9 days, just a pamper. And my baby had a Billy Rubin blanket. A light on this side and a light on top of her for 9 days, 9 nights. The devil was trying to take me out and my family. And I'll make sure that they know y'all great. Y'all not just great athletes, y'all great people. Because before you were ever introduced to a sport, God said he knew you in the womb. God made you before you was even a bone, before you had a bone, or you had a brain or eye socket, you was a spirit. God knew us all in the womb. And if we ever get back to him, if we ever get back to God, and give him our lives, truly,
Yes.
you and wholeheartedly, and just tune out all the distractions. You get to your purpose, man. You find a life of peace, no matter what happens. We're gonna take the easy way out, and we're gonna play the blame, but the real blame is on us because the thing I'm finding out is God's plan to change when our plans change. Because you want to do what you want to do. Right now, job working at AutoZone distribution, making a few dollars more than what I was making, doing what I really want to do, staying active. Like I said, I was heavier, so I lost weight, started working out. And then just as far as my ministry, I took it a little, I can only say harder, but I went a little, I stepped out there and started training. I've always worked with my kids. I worked with other kids, high schoolers that would, play for the state championships, that went on to college to do, big and great things as well. Basketball training, football, and soccer.
Your boys all.
Yeah, they all play basketball and football. Well, my oldest son plays. They all can play both, but they don't choose to play them. My oldest son only likes to play football. He says basketball is stupid. My middle son, basketball and football. My baby boy is football first, but he plays both. Baby girl, she plays volleyball. But I also do speed and agility training as well. But just more than anything, I just, any chance I get to minister to youth, even outside of the sports world and the sports realm, I just talk to them. I just keep it real with them. Jesus is everything to me. Jesus is everything, because, man, had he not sacrificed his life, man, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be able to, do this interview. We wouldn't be here with our friends and family and loved ones. There's no telling what type of lifestyle we have at all. If you had to live under the old law, man, wouldn't be no us. Wouldn't be no us. It'd be an I. That'd probably be Jesus and Jesus alone. Anybody that, any youth that, needs an outlet, I'm always here. But like I say, I just keep it real with the youth. I try not to sugarcoat anything. I give it to them as they can handle it and be real with them. Even having those talks about death. But outside of that, anybody is going to be around the Marion County area for spring break, the dates of March 11th through the 15th. I will be having spring break basketball camp from 9 to 12. It's just $30 a participant. Will include a free t-shirt as well, and they'll get lunch from 9 to 12, March 11th through the 15th. 6 to 18 are the ages, I'm sorry. But yeah, we'll be out there at Anthony Community Park, right behind Anthony Elementary. If you need to contact me, you can get at me on Facebook, Tim Swinton on Facebook, or you can call me on my numbers, 352-208-0939. And I'll be more than glad. Please get in touch with me, because the slots are very limited. But definitely looking to have a good time. with the kids and the Lord, and you know, work up a good little sweat so they ain't gotta sit around on tablets all day and rot their brains.